Former Huskers turning success in sport to success in business. This is Red to Black.
Hey, this is Matt Vrzal, and this is how I went from red to black.
Before we get into this episode of Red to Black, we are so excited that Husker football is back. Make sure you catch Big Red Wrap-Up, its game highlights and analysis on NET, Nebraska's PBS and NPR stations. Tuesday nights live at 7 on NET World and on Facebook, and at 10 o'clock on NET. All right, here we go, from Red to Black. Verz,
Pat.
Thank you for coming on Red to Black.
You bet.
Chris Gorman, Pat Safford.
Sorry.
And Verz, I know, known you for a while, know a lot of these stories. I don't know all the stories on where you started from. I know a little bit of where you started from playing high school football, moving on to the University of Nebraska, and then moving on to a very successful business. And that's kind of what we want to talk about today.
Okay.
So talk about starting little Verz. Where did you grow up?
Okay, so isn't it rule in like interview you don't say talk about? It's gotta be like it's gotta be like yeah.
Let's talk about?
Yeah.
Is that a bad thing?
No.
How about let's discuss?
There you go.
Let's chat.
How about this one? Hey, Verz, tell me about yourself. Where'd you grow up?
Hey, okay, here we go.
Pat, I grew up in Grand Island, Nebraska. No, Pat, I grew up in Grand Island.
Verz and I are going to end up doing the show.
I know, I was just thinking.
And we're going to kick you off this
right?
No, born and raised GI. Always represent the 308.
308.
Yep, always just a kid from the 308. Normal childhood, played a lot of sports, no travel crap like it is today. Just played the down and dirty.
Did they even have travel crap back when we were around?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, your boy Damon Benning was only a gladiator team.
Oh, that's right. The Gladiators.
They came to GI and got rolled.
Did they?
Just by the town team.
Oh.
Like by our, yeah.
Really?
I was like, hey, nice job. Hope that money was worth it. But, so did that. Played, basketball, baseball, football, track through junior high. And then in high school, played football and just did track. Basketball had kind of run its course, and then baseball had a bunch of, can I cuss on here?
Oh, yeah.
You can do what you want.
Had a bunch of politics in it, and so I ended up just hanging up the baseball cleats and focusing on baseball, and then part playing football. You had to go out for track, so just so you weren't super fat and lazy.
Yeah.
All off season. But yeah, I got the opportunity to play in Nebraska. I had a couple opportunities at Wyoming, Iowa State, and passed on those. Went to play for the dear old Nebraska U, and away we went.
Having your phone ring during a podcast recording is part of the reason why you're in the black, because you always got stuff going on with Piezons. Always got it going on.
Well, this is why I hate technology, because this thing said I muted everything. But obviously it's lied to me.
Obviously it's not
My
muted.
phone has lied to me in some form.
Your family, did they kind of encourage you to stay at Nebraska or not to go out of state? It was completely your call?
100% my decision. Yep. There was, they said you do what you think is going to be best for you. And at that time, you get done with high school football and you think you're a dude. Mm-hmm. Like you think you're really a dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you show up. So back at that time, before it wasn't as, people weren't as worried about us, I guess. We were a lot tougher. But so we went to the Shrine Bowl in 92. We played the 92 Shrine Bowl. We had 3 weeks of practice, like 3 weeks of two-a-days. And then you went to the University of Nebraska and you had 2 weeks of freshman only two-a-days. So it's just your freshman class. So that's probably why we're all thick as thieves. Like we need about 2 minutes and we're back into rhythm, and the boys, the fellas' wives look at us and just shake their heads. But then the varsity came in, and then you had 2 more weeks. So we had a full month and 3/4 of two-a-days. But you learned real quick when the varsity showed up, right? Because you're sizing up the guys in your recruiting class, and you're having 2 weeks of two-a-days, and everybody's getting kind of testy. But you're like, I can take this guy. I'm like, it's not a big deal. And then reality sets in, and Will Shields shows up, and Rob Zadis shows up, and Kevin Raymaker shows up, and John Perella shows up, and you're like, wait a minute, let's pump the brakes here. I got to warm up with this dude who's going to try to kill me, and then I got to go try to block that dude who I know can kill me. Like, this is what we're doing today? And the coach just kind of laughed. She's like, have fun. We'll see you in about 3 hours. So away you go. But it was back from, in 83 when Nebraska went for 2 and we didn't get it. We were down at our neighbor's house. And my old man, rest in peace, he was as diehard as they come. He was Nebraska to the core, wanted nothing more than them to win everything all the time. So we're sitting there, and it's me and my buddies and my parents' friends. We're all in the basement like it would be back in the 80s. And he got a full beer, unopened can of beer in his hand. My dad was a little guy, 5'8", about 210, 215. And so we're sitting there and we're watching the game, and he knows they're going to go. He goes, Osborne will go for it. Da, da, da. So they line up. He's like, I knew it. We're going to get it. So they run it, run the roll out, ball gets knocked down, and an unopened can of beer, he just crushed it in his hand. And the top splayed open, and it went up. Now it's late. Like, it's dark.
Oh, yeah.
In Nebraska when this game is going on. I looked at my buddies. I'm like, we should all probably go outside. We should all probably go shoot hoops or something. Like turn the light. You got lights outside? Let's just all go outside. So we were all outside, but it was so as innocent and stupid as that is just the passion that he had for it. He had the opportunity to play at Nebraska. He was from Newman Grove, Nebraska. Mom and dad were from Newman Grove. Dad was a really good running back.
I didn't know your dad played.
Yep. So it was great. It was great for me because he had no clue what I was doing. I played offensive line. We'd meet up after the game. He'd be like, hey, Ryan, you're running back, and Steve, your fullback, and Mike, you're the running back. Like, they ran for a lot of yards, so you must have done good. I was like, hey, thanks, Dad. See you later. So I go down for my freshman physical. Okay, George Sullivan, salt of the earth, one of the greatest human beings to ever walk the face of the earth. I walk in there, and Sully goes, Vrzal. I was like, yep. And he goes, I said, good job of pronouncing that, really. Nice job. He goes, your dad Terry? I'm like, sure. And he goes, grab your ankles. I'm like, whoa, boss. Like, just bump, back her up, back the truck up here. What? And he goes, your old man came in here. He goes, and we was going to walk on. We put him through his physical. He had scoliosis. He said, so one hit incorrectly, he's paralyzed for life. He goes, so actually, technically, this is Sully, if you know Sully, he goes, technically, the only reason you're here is because I did my job. And I was like, that's a great point. I was like, well said. And grabbed my ankles.
That's awesome.
He slapped me on the ass and he goes, you're good. He goes, you don't have it. Like, all right, here we go. So yeah, it was cool. But it meant a lot. And I just wanted to take a shot and see what happened. And, we did what we did.
Yeah. So I'm a 308 kid. I'm from North Platte. Nice. Like it was always revered, Nebraska football. It was a big deal.
But you're just a pup, though, right? You're young.
I don't know. I mean, I think you look younger than I do, but we have the same haircut, so
we all three do.
We all probably really shouldn't be in the same room together.
Right.
People are going to question that. Like, so like Shimmick and
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Shimmick's my guy.
Okay, so
and then the Ostermeyers,
of course. Yeah. But like we revered Nebraska football. It was a big deal when our parents would throw us in the car, drive up to Lincoln. You're coming over the hill. You see the Capitol. Like you have a game to see who sees the Capitol first, and then you see Memorial Stadium. Was it like that for you when you were growing up? Like, man, that was it. That was the pinnacle of sports.
We were super fortunate because my grandmother, she had tickets, and so they were up tucked in section 23. So you're under the awning. Yep. You never get wet.
Yep.
But we would go, and my old man would get super pissed because we were like in the geriatric section. Like,
right.
It was old.
Oh yeah.
Like there were like vultures were flying around the section. So inevitably, and this lady's name was Lois.
Of course.
Lois sat right in front of us. And about kickoff would happen and she would cheer. The first series would happen, she would cheer. Old Lois would go into her purse and she would bring out the knitting needles.
Oh, man.
And she would start knitting at the game. And my old man was just furious. He would just mutter under his breath, guys outside, just want to watch the game. She's in here knitting, just pissed. But so we would get, in a rotation. So you would look forward to when it was your turn to go to the game.
Oh, yeah.
And it was that, it was everything, but it was more intimate back then, right? Like one of the things that happened to us in Grand Island when Remington and those guys graduated, they had the Husker Hoops basketball team came to GI. And so you're sitting there and they play and you're just in awe of the size and how big they are and how, they're still so athletic. But then afterwards they sat down and you get autographs. And Dave Remington was so cool. He just, anybody was like super tiny and like skinny. He'd be like, okay, Dave Remington, see you later. But then like the heftier, huskier kids, he'd walk up and be like, hey, sit down here. He goes, are you playing? I'm like, oh yeah, I play. He goes, what do you play? I was like, fullback. He goes, not for long. I was like, true.
True story.
But they spent time. So then the next year when you went, and I had a cousin that was playing at the time, so we would go down, stand on the fence and see him warm up. You know, they give you the one finger so the coach doesn't see, but that was cool. You know, it was just such a close touch, right? Every town had their one guy that was there representing them, so that drew in every kid. And it meant a lot. And it was, you know, we're here. It's what we got. Yeah. It's what we live by. It's what we die by. God bless basketball and baseball. They try their ass off, but when it gets to nut cutting, everybody's going to football. And even as awesome as volleyball is, like, see, if you want to know why girls volleyball or young women's volleyball in the state of Nebraska is so good, it's because they have something to pattern after. You know, you got a gal from Malcolm on the team. You got some other gals from smaller communities, some Waverly gals. There'll be some Omaha Scott Catholic girls on the team, but that matters because those girls that are young growing up, they see an end game to it. They say, hey, if I get in here and I bust my ass, I can go do that. They're going to give me a shot. And so that's what it meant, because you knew as a kid playing in Nebraska, if I went and I had a good career, I'm going to get a shot. And that shot mattered. Now the shot's different. It's more, hey, I got to go get my school paid for. You know, and I understand finances. I understand my parents took a huge risk, and God bless them, we all made it work. But that intimacy of it is gone to an extent, you know. And Nebraska right now, high school football is flush with talent. Like, there's a lot of talent. Like, Frost and crew can do some damage in the state with what they have here. They just have to make sure they're assessing what they have here before they go venture out, try to find other toys.
Well, and you're 100% right. It's like that generational awareness. And that was a big deal. So my dad was the dean out at the College of North Platte. And every year they would bring the School is Cool jam. And like Brooke Behringer is like borrowing some kid's shoes so he can show kids how to dunk. And you're taking that roadshow out there and really creating those relationships. And that's how you win that backyard. That's why you have these Nebraska kids that want to stay here and they want to play for Frost, because they know where they've been and where we can get back to.
For me, we had a hot run in GI. John Peterson, well, Mike Anderson would have been the first, played middle linebacker, and then John Peterson was a center. Phil Ellis played linebacker, and then me. So, I mean, you had, you know, 4 guys in almost consecutive years that all went to play. And so that was nice when you got there, when you were, you know, getting the kicked out of you. You're like, hey, Phil, maybe take it easy on your buddy from GI, right? We were teammates last year. Like, let's calm down. But they didn't. And they knew where you're at, and they'd come check on you later. But those ties to Hyannis, Keneally from Hyannis, I mean, you think anybody west of North Platte wasn't a Terry Keneally fan? Like every single person, every rancher out west had a 99 hat and a 99 jersey. Like the highest volume sales from North Platte to the Colorado border. 99s. You know, but you can go to the north. You go up to the North Platte or to North Fork area, Columbus area. You know, everybody had their guy. You get south, you know, near Lincoln kids. It just was what it was. And the world has changed. The world is a different place. Social media has made it a lot more easy for kids to. It is tough, though. Winning is great, okay? We were spoiled. Our classes know we were spoiled from 91 to 94. You know, we know we were spoiled rotten. But the experience of it, right? The friendship, the camaraderie, like all that stuff, it was so much more. We all went out and worked hard together. And then when that hard work got its chance to show itself, it did. And so those things, I just hope that that's what they're learning too, because that's going to take you further. Like the wins are great, and it's awesome for me. I can go tell stories, and everybody laughs, and we have a good time. But the ones that I keep tighter to myself are just the ones with the fellas. When the fellas come around, then we break out the fellas stories. You know, my ankles are super ashy today, and I clicked my heel on my leg, and I tore some skin off. I texted Dave, I was like, I am ashy, dude. Like, I need some cocoa butter. He just sent back, you're an idiot. You know, but that's us. That's we're just big dumb children. We just happen to have had a hot run.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the hot run. Like, did you guys know how special it was at the time? Did you feel like, cause you know, as fans and not players, like we see it, we live it, we talk about it all the time. You guys were in it. Like, did you feel how big it was at the time?
To us, no. You never, for us at that moment, it was just around a lot of good human beings, right? And those now we had our turds, just like anybody else. We had guys got in trouble. We were by no means angels. Like that's well documented. We were not angels by any stretch of the imagination. But you had guys that went and they knew every Monday it's be kind of chill. Okay, I'm gonna we're going to learn the game plan. We're going to do some stuff. We're going to hit a little bit, not a whole bunch. Tuesday, you better have it strapped on because we're about to go to work. And when you put people in that situation, you can have a crew of people that don't want to work, okay? And then that can kind of fester out, and then nobody wants to work. Well, with our dudes, if you went in there and you didn't want to work, you were going to get hit till you worked. Like you were going to get
almost survival, like you had to.
The leadership of it from the higher ups, from the seniors, and I've always said, without Kevin Raymakers and John Perella and some other guys on that senior class of 90, the one that lost in 93, without them, we don't exist. Like Nebraska is not what it is. Like those guys, I'll be honest, in my will, of my 2 championship rings, I had replicas made. Each one of them get one because that's how big of a deal they were.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Like they were guys that set expectation, right? They set the expectation of what practice should be. They thought you were dogging it. You were going to get it. You were going to get hit really, 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 really hard until you practiced to their level. And so then that, unfortunately in 93, that didn't work out. And then in 90, you roll to 94. Well, that expectation is there now. So that's how everybody works. So then you bring in Christian and you bring in some of the other guys. And this is where it is. Now you have young guys like Jared Tomich, who's actually my age, but young guys like Grant Wishram. They learn all that. Hey, I'm going to work like those 2 guys because everybody's scared shitless of them. So this is how we're going to work now. So they go out and work that hard, and then that just kind of compounded on itself. For us to get to Saturday was the easy part. You wanted to, like, Tuesday and Wednesday were the hard part. Tuesday and Wednesday were harder than 99% of the games we played because you were out there, you were fighting for your job, and you were just fighting to survive the day. Like those were long. They'll tell you, hey, we try to get 100 reps for everybody, and everybody's getting 100 reps in practice. Like if you think about that, 100, you're running 100 football plays in 2 hours. They're lying. It was like 130. But because it was always constant motion, but you didn't have the opportunity to take off. You didn't have the opportunity to relax. You were always getting better. So then anything you saw in the game, you had seen up to 15 times in practice. So now I just got to adjust to, okay, that guy's a little bit faster than what I saw in practice, but I know my angle. I know where I got to be. I know my running backs are awesome. I know my quarterback's great. I know our defense knows what they're doing. And so that was that preparation at a high expectation. Like those are the 2 things that have to go together in that. You can have great preparation, but if you don't have any expectation on, well, who cares, right? So our expectation was to go out and be dominant, and a lot of times we were.
Yeah, well, and that's the stuff of legend. Like, when you talk about those years, like that is the pinnacle of dedication, teamwork, putting together a plan, executing it, and demanding it. Your coaches, your teammates, everybody expected of each other. And I think that's probably, and you can co-sign that. That's probably why the teams were so successful during those years.
You had the ultimate puppet master pulling the strings. Like T.O. at that phase of it, he, with his degree in psychology, he knew he was probably most in touch with everyone on the team's psyche. And he knew how to get the most out of everybody. And, there were days where there were fights and he would get pissed and people would have to run stairs. And he's a twisted dude. There was a fight. So we were preparing. Let's see. This would have been in 95. We were preparing for the bowl game. And it was, late in the year, and you see these Musco lights rolling outside the stadium, like, oh man, we are going to be here a while. Like, this is not good. So they roll these things out and you're practicing and you got finals and everybody's just pissed and tired and chippy. Well, the fight breaks out. This isn't like a couple dudes. This is like everybody squared off. Like the backups were, Scotty Saltzman and I were just kind of jostling each other around like a hockey fight in the background. Was, oh God, look at those guys. The defensive linemen were fighting the offensive linemen. The offensive linemen were fighting the defensive linemen. Fullbacks fighting linebackers, receivers fighting receivers. I mean, it is a melee.
Jeez.
And T.O. is screaming and yelling and just pissed. And finally, he gets it sorted out. And he went back to the instigators, and so he makes them run the stairs. South Stadium, 95-ish rows. At about 70, it goes straight up. Mm-hmm. So you get to 70, you're like, I got this. And then it goes straight up. And so we're done at practice and we're getting ready to run our gassers, do our conditioning. And he waited because the guys that were running the stairs, they thought, well, we'll just time this out and they'll start running gassers. And then we'll come down at the time when the gassers are over and then we won't run the gassers. So they got up to the top and he's literally on the sideline just standing up looking at him. Like almost motioning, but come on back down. We're waiting for you to run gassers. So these guys had a down, a back up, and a down, and then they had to get on the line and run gassers 4 times. So if you didn't come in under time, then you run more. I was like, oh God.
The last time they fought?
I'm so happy. No.
Not enough to
come on. No, Pat.
Just wondering.
This isn't baseball. Like if you got
Is it baseball?
If I got a problem with you, I'm not going to throw the pellet at your head. I'm going to come confront you and we're going to get a rep together. And if I beat you, I'm going to tell you about it. And if you don't like it, you better do something about it. And that's the way it went. You legit patrolled your own. Like
that's how you gain respect from your teammates.
Like prison.
Yeah, right. And leaders emerge, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you're talking about all this stuff in terms of football and teamwork and all that kind of stuff. And that the interesting thing that we've been talking about the last few episodes is that how that transitions into the business world and running a business. Cause you're talking about setting expectation. And I've heard you on the phone and talk about your employees and the way that you have these expectations for your employees to become, it's not about just being better at Piezon's, which you own 156th and Center here in Omaha. But it's to help them become better people.
So Pat, the way it all shook out, like Coach Osborne, every day he had simple goal. He was looking for the perfect practice. No fumbles, no bad reads, no nothing. So if you think of the masochistic nature of that, I'm going to take 125 kids. I'm going to throw them out of practice. And all I want their little pea brains to do is do everything perfect for one day.
Right.
But think about that. And so then that translated over into the search for the perfect game. Right, so I just want to play a perfect game. No penalties, no turnovers, no nothing. No missed blocking assignments, no missed tackles. Never going to happen, ever. But that's the goal.
Right.
So then I always wondered what would happen if somehow we pulled that off. If you just set the headset down and just walked off and be like, all right, later, guys.
Right.
You guys figure it out from here.
Yeah.
But so for us at Piezon's, I tell a new hire. I just had a couple new hires today. I said, we only have one expectation. I'm like, I just want you to be perfect. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. And they just kind of looked at me like, what? I just started.
Yep.
And I'm like, but it is what it is. The main point of that is you're going to make mistakes. It's how you learn from that mistake, how you overcome that mistake, because that's life. Like, I'm not a forever job for people. I tell the kids work for me, if you're with me and you're like 50, I failed you. I failed you in an immense way that I will never be able to apologize for. I'm here to teach you how to work. I'm here to teach you personal skills, which you don't have. I'm here to teach you how to survive or thrive in a team setting. All right? So we're going to prepare everything as best we can. We're going to prepare you for this. My expectation is perfection. We're going to prepare our ass off, and somewhere in the middle, we're going to get things right. So even when we screw up, we have protocols, we have sets. Okay, what did we screw up? Boom, boom, boom. Here's what we offer. Here's what we say. Always apologetic, but make sure the person leaves with a smile. If you get them out the door, even though you screwed up, and they may leave with more food than they ordered. Like, hey, we screwed up your pizza. We're going to give you this pizza. We already got a new one in the oven. This one's on us. There you go. And away they go. But kids don't understand that you're going to fail, and I'm going to talk in a loud voice to you. I don't hate you. You just let me down because my expectation of you was higher than your production. And I expect you to produce when I put you in that position. I've trained you to do this. Now you have to go execute. If you can't execute, then I can't have you. And so then to see them evolve and to see them move on, because kids want to work. They want to be taught. They want to learn. People would tell you have to be soft with them and talk in a gentle voice and make sure that, no. That ain't life. Like you've had your ass chewed. You've had your ass chewed.
Oh, yeah.
I've had mine chewed a lot. Take that chewing and make sure that you understand I'm doing this for your benefit. Now, if I'm wrong in that situation, I will come back and apologize. Like I freaked a couple kids out the other day. They did something that I thought they had done. They hadn't done it. I lit them. I mean, we got it. Like there we were going. Got done, went out. Another kid came up from the back and he said, hey, actually, this is what happened. I was like, hold tight. I was like, you and you. I was like, I apologize. I'm like, I should have gathered all the information first. That's on me. I said, I'll buy you a breakfast burrito. We're good to go. They're like, what? You apologize? I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, oh, okay. And then boom, water on the bridge. Everything's good. But you factor all these things in, and probably the biggest thing that I learned at Nebraska was just being accountable for your actions. So Aaron Graham, my junior year, he had a class miraculously 3:00 every Thursday. I was like, bro, it's walk through. You know, you got to practice. It's freaking walk through. Like, just come on. So anyway, we're going through walk through and it's raining and I'm the center and Brooke is taking the rep and they show a blitz where I know where I got to get, but it gets a little iffy because I got to snap the ball and I got to step hard with my left foot and I'm right-handed. It's easier for me to move to my right. So I got to step hard. So I airmail this. Like Brooke is 6'5", like 36 inches vertical. I am over his head by a mile. Okay. So now to compound this, when we go watch film on Friday, Coach Tenneper, my coach, is gone. Coach Young, my other coach, gone. So we're not in the lineman room watching film where I can be like, hey, that's my bad. We're in T.O.'s room with everybody. I'm like, oh, so we're running this, and he's kind of going long on all these plays. I'm like, I'm elbowing Aaron, telling him, I'm going to get out of this. Like, he's going too long. Like, we're going to run out of time. We got to go to practice. He's like, shut up. And so we go, and I know I've still got like 8 plays till this play happens. I'm like, pfft. It's like 2:58. We're out of here. Fast forwards.
Of course. Of course. Yeah. Of course.
So he stops it. And I'm like, well, somebody might want to get a hold of the guys in the basement and just pack my stuff because I'm pretty sure you're just going to get rid of me. So he paused it and he rewinds and he pauses and rewinds and he pauses. He goes, Verse. And I was like, yeah, coach, what happened here? And everybody, when he does this to him, will give this, well, the sun was in my eye and the direction of the Earth's rotation had moved. And then the ball was, it's like, coach, that's my fault. I said, I screwed it up. And then he paused it. I was like, I am out of here. I was like, I'm out of here. I was like, nice knowing you boys. It was fun. Good to see you. Make sure you keep in touch. And he stops and he goes, turn the lights on. I'm like, nah, don't turn the lights on. That's not good. So he says, Verse, he said, I've been coaching a long time. He said, I've never had anybody answer that question that way. He goes, that's how you should answer that question. I'm like, so can I stay?
So what are you saying?
Then he just went to practice. And so that owning your mistakes is a big thing. I hire 14-year-old to 20-some-odd-year-old kids. You are going to screw up. I am going to screw up. As long as everybody admits the error, we're good. There's nothing I can't be mad at you. Hey, this pizza got topped wrong. You forgot jalapenos on it. Why? I screwed it up. Okay, let's not do that anymore.
What are you going to do? What are you going to say?
Let's not do that anymore. Great. Keep it moving. So when I go up, hey, we're going to give you 10% off. We got a new one in for you. We can heat up some jalapenos. We're going to just give you a side of jalapenos. People are like, just side of jalapenos is fine. Don't worry about the discount. They're gone. When you're accountable to your customers, when you're accountable to your staff, the rest is easy. But we don't want to be wrong. We don't want to screw up. I get it, but you do. You're a human being. You make mistakes.
Yeah.
So also having great pizza helps too, by the way. Best in town. So
this is a business show that's rooted in Husker athletics. I was excited to talk to Eric Crouch and Aaron Davis. This is probably the one.
How long did Davis's interview last? Like 4 days?
It's still going. He's still in Lincoln.
Right.
Probably.
He doesn't even know we left the room yet.
Talking on Zoom just to himself. He just got it on record.
Yep.
This one and No BS was the one I was most excited for because I promise you, this has been a dream of mine forever, is to own a pizza joint.
Yeah.
When I get done with all of this stuff and me and Pat retire, I want to move to Hawaii and I want to open up a little pizza joint on the beach and talk about Husker football and talk to tourists that are coming through town.
If you want to take a weird circumvent,
Yep.
I got a guy out in the Platte that wants to open a Piezon's.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
They need
You'd have to move back out there.
No, I don't want to do that.
I did though. I like the one lady in North Platte. She's got a little brick building on the corner. She opens when she wants to.
Oh yeah.
She don't give two shits.
No,
She's
doesn't
like,
care.
I might open.
Really?
I might not.
That's awesome.
Because I was in town. I had to go out for a funeral. I'm like, that pizza place over there. And they're like, yep, she just opens kind of when she wants to.
Some lights on.
You just drive by and it says open and you go in like, Yeah, pretty much.
It's a very North Platte thing.
But it's small towns or smaller communities. They're all corporate now.
Yeah,
it's all corporate. It sucks.
Yep.
There's no local owned mom and pop kind of joints.
Well, and especially through all this pandemic,
Yeah.
these corporations who can
flex.
they can flex and they can survive this wave and they can hold strong. Like we're going to end up with Domino's and Pizza Huts on every corner.
Yep.
Like if we don't do something and like support our local, and that's been a cool thing through the pandemic is people rallying around like their local pizza joint or their local taco shop, or like I'm not going to spend money at Jiffy Lube. I'm going to go to the locally owned place to get my oil changed. Like, talk to me about how do we get from Husker football to pizza joint owner?
Oh, so I finished up college. College was just a whirlwind. Like you showed up as this freshman, 310-pound freshman that Will Shields threw through the air the first day of practice. Literally.
Yeah.
He had me off the ground in the air. Like I was flying. It was like Ricky Bobby. I was like, I am in the air and it's not good. Landed and crashed. He picked me up. He said, welcome to Nebraska. I was like, I'm from here. I live here. So I went to Chicago, diehard Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks fan. And I just needed to get away. We had played Husker hoops. The fellows, we made some good money. And so I thought I was rich. So I went and I found a place. I rented an apartment and pulled, a little redneck Ruby kind of thing. So there was this apartment for rent. It was 2 blocks away from Wrigley. And this guy was like, he wanted just an asinine amount of rent. And I said, hey, tell you what. I said, I want this thing for 6 months. It's fully furnished, so I didn't have to go get anything. And there was a parking spot on the street right in front of me. Like, well, that's a sign. So I said, tell you what, I said, I'm gonna give you 6 months cash. Okay, cash. At this amount of cash, not your amount of cash. You got somebody else who wants to rent it. You give me my remaining months back, I'll move out. He goes, let me see the cash. So I dumbass me. I roll out a big gangster wad of bills.
Right.
Like, how many you want to see? Is this good? He's like, okay. He goes, do you sell drugs? I was like, no. I was like, I'm from Nebraska.
Right.
He goes, we covered that. So I got an apartment. And contrary to popular belief, in Chicago, you can go out and you can drink anywhere in that town for cheap, any night of the week. You just got to be able to work. Oh yeah, oh yeah. So I did that quite well, and then I found a job. I was a runner for an investment firm, so you didn't have to be licensed. And so then I would just get on the phone. I was a cold caller. So I just call and somebody would answer. I'd be like, yeah, I'm from Nebraska. I just moved to this big city. It's freaking awesome. So many cars and these big, tall buildings. Oh, my God. Like, well, I could probably, get a little money to invest. The guys are going to do great with this. I'm going to forward you on to Greg, and Greg will take care of you. And then so, boom, off to Greg it goes. And then they come back with me with a check. I'm like, oh, this is great. So you just keep pulling the doofus from Nebraska, just moved to town act. And the guys did fantastic with the money. Like, they were doing great. And so one day I was probably, of my 6 months there, I was probably about month 4.5. Cubs were playing in the afternoon. And I was like, well, I don't feel, I got to work at 7. I'm like, well, I'm feeling a little sick. Might have to take the afternoon off. I wasn't taking it. So I just beeline over to the game. So
6 old styles deep.
So I'm just watching the Cubs game, having a blast, and my buddies were there. And I said, well, the White Sox are playing the Red Sox tonight. Hit the train. So we're at the Sox game. I scalped some tickets. I hate the number 3 for this reason. We were in the 3rd row, 3rd baseline, 3rd seat was my seat. And I'm still hefty. Like, I'm still a husky individual. Like, I can drink a lot. And so we're boozing her up, and it gets to the 7th inning. I know they're going to stop selling beers. So the beer guy comes over, and I'm like, hey, I need 2 beers for everybody, and then the rest of the beers in your tray. And he goes, sir, we've had this discussion literally the entire game. You cannot do that. I was like, okay. By 2 for me, 2 for him, 2 for him, 2 for him, and just downline. 2 for that guy over there, and 2 for that lady that just waved at me, and 2 for that guy sitting. These guys in front of us, by them all 2 beers. So he goes, fine. Goes, just shut up. So he gives me all the beers, and I give him cash. Well, I get a hand on my shoulder, and I'm like, oof, nothing about this is good. Like, I'm either getting kicked out of here, which I don't think I'm being that obnoxious. It's like, or I'm getting fired. And I turned around and looked like, oh, getting fired. So for the 9 innings at the Cubs game and the 7 innings at the Sox game, I had not gone to the bathroom. Like, I'm just camel and booze. Well, my boss was sitting in the 5th row, third baseline, third seat. So he was 2 rows behind. This is how unaware I am of anything. I'm just watching the game. We're laughing. I don't even look backwards. And so he's like, he goes, Matt, we need to talk. And I'm like, right now? He goes, no. He goes, on Monday. I'm like, great. I'm like, well, do you want a beer? And he goes, yeah. He goes, you guys are having more fun than the people I'm with. So he sat down and had some beers. So I get called into his office and he says, I don't know where you're from, kid. I was like, I'm from Nebraska. I'm like, we covered this. I'm like, it's on my thing right there. He said, no. He said, you get more done from 7 a.m. to noon than the rest of the staff gets done all day. He said, it's from noon to 4 that it goes bad. I'm like, yeah, let's just do this 7 to noon thing then. Let's just do that.
Right.
And he goes, that's not how the real world works, Matt. And I'm like, dang it. I'm like, I tried. He goes, here's your severance check. And I was like, what? I'm like, you're going to pay me not to work here? He goes, yes, we're going to pay you not to work here. So now I still got some money from that, and I got money from gambling, and so I'm at it now. I'm like, I got a month and a half left. I'm like, let's go. And I get to the point where I'm out a lot. Like bartenders are knowing my name, and people in the neighborhood are like, hey, man. I'm like, hey, what's up? So I made it home one night, kind of. I got to the porch, and I passed out, and my neighbor Tom was leaving to go to work, and he stepped over me, and he looked at me, and he goes, because he was on the bottom and I was on the top, and he goes, time to go home, Matt. I was like, I know, Tom. I was like, I was right there. I almost made it. And he goes, no, back to Nebraska. He's like, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I was like, yeah, probably true. So packed up my stuff in my blazer, got home, and just kind of was farting around. The rail needed a door guy, and I was 23. So I worked as a door guy at the rail for a while. And then the rep from Anheuser-Busch, they wanted to develop a position called a CMT. It was that you were a young adult market rep. The premise of the job is we're going to pay you to go out, buy drinks, and give stuff away.
That's perfect.
And I was like, we're serious here?
Right.
So you're going to give me an expense account. You're going to give me a bunch of T-shirts, and you're going to give me mileage. And I'd gotten rid of Jimmy, and my parents gave me their Honda. So I was getting like 97 miles a gallon, but driving 97 miles a day. And so I was like, this is real? He was like, yep. And so I did that for about a year. I was out every night, 7 days a week. And then one of my customers had said, hey, I need to take on a business partner, and then we're going to buy this bar. I said, oh, I'm in. Mm-hmm. So I called in sick. So I took my 2 weeks of sick leave and went and started building the bar, and then put in my 2 weeks. So I had a month of building on the bar we bought before I even was open. So I did that. And then another one of my customers said, well, that was dumb. You should have bought our bar. I'm like, well, I'll buy your bar too. I don't care. And so we bought that one. And then another customer said, well, that was even dumber. You should buy our bar. I was like, I'll buy your bar too. I was like, I don't care. And so then she showed me the price. I'm like, you're crazy. I'm like, I'm not paying that. Good luck. And then the price kept coming down and down. So in the span of 6 months, I went from working for AB to owning 4 bars in Lincoln. So literally one of them, I had the last drink in it on a Sunday, and then turned around and we owned it on a Monday.
And which bars were those?
I owned Lazari's Pizza, The Bar, which I started. My picture's still up on the wall, with a couple other guys. And Downtown, which was the other half of the Lizard Lounge, and the Sidetrack Tavern. Yep, so we own those. So we used to give, we had a little game day punch card. If you made it to the bar, Downtown, and the Sidetrack, and then when you got into Lazari's, you got like $2.
That's a great idea.
You got $1 off your slice or something. But people would get so schnocked, they would forget the card. Like, I had a card. I'm like, there's no card. I can't.
My brother always told me about the card of O Street. Like when you turn 21, you get your little passport and you'd run around and you'd punch that thing.
They gave those out at when Sanders used to be down on the other end. Yeah.
I don't think they do that anymore.
That's a recipe.
No. That's
rough.
I found that thing like 8 years ago, and I looked at it, I was like, oh my God. Because you wrote the shot, then you signed your name.
Yep.
So like you're buzzing, like, look at my autograph. This is great. By the end of the night, it's like some hieroglyphics, and then it just tails off the page, and then there's like an FU on there inevitably, and it's like, I hate everybody. Yeah. But no, it was fun. I mean, I don't know what better work you could find at 25.
Yeah.
I've done this on numerous shows. I apologize to all my staff in my younger years because I was just a D-bag. Like you get in and you hear the stories. Everybody's got to steal and everybody's like, ah. So I was just riding everybody like a rented mule. Calmed down after about 6-8 years and was like, hey, I apologize. It's kind of an over there. So
because there's probably a difference between being a super aggressive boss that isn't trying to develop people but just trying to control and be that person at the top versus where you're at now, which are very similar.
Yeah.
It's nuanced. But today it's more hey, I'm going to teach you how to be a better person, better employee, and I'm going to set you on a new path.
I got better as an owner. About the time that we opened or that I bought in, I also started coaching with Ryan Terwilliger and Malcolm. And again, I've apologized to those kids because young Coach Vrzal was an ass too. But they knew one thing people will always know about me is my methods probably sometimes aren't the best, but I always have their best interest in mind. Like any person I have coached or that has worked for me, they know in a moment's notice they can call me and I will be there. If I got to kill somebody, I'll kill them. If I got to help them out, I'll help them out however I need to. Like they know that about me. It just early on, you're all wired up and you're just like, ah. And I just needed to calm down and figure out my method. But it's a premise that we still use today, and I use it in coaching. Is DJ Vrzal, my partner in the original 2 in Lincoln? He said, if you take care of the people, the rest will take care of itself. So now my focus on that initially was just making sure our customers were always happy. I didn't look back at it until about year 2 of being an owner that I needed to take better care of my staff because I was just ruthless on them. Like if they were, everything was wasting time. Did you give that away? What are you doing? I was just so paranoid about stealing that I needed to realize, hey, if I'm going to hire them, I've got to have a certain level of trust in them until they give me the reason not to trust them. And so that helped me a lot because the world is a people place. If you're not good to people, the rest of it will bite you in the ass. Karma will come back tenfold. And so now we try to do the best we can of just making sure we take care of the people, and then literally the rest takes care of itself. The business grows. We learned through the pandemic, I like to say we're just a neighborhood pizza place. I'm not fancy. We don't have a marguerite pizza. I don't do the peanut butter, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I don't
Thai nut.
Right. I don't have that one. But we do things that we're good at. We're good to people. We just want to be a part of that neighborhood that we're at 15605 West Center. We just want to be in that neighborhood. Okay, so the pandemic hits, and this thing is going a million different directions. My head is legit spinning. I'm like, okay, what are we doing here? So I call people I trust in disease control. I call people I trust the health department. I called some other people that are in the business. And I said, hey, here's what we're thinking. I'm going to get this PPE done. We're going to close down. We're going to let it all sort out. And people, to a man and to a woman, like, no, you're not. Like, don't do that. Like, you go on the radio and you do these interviews and you got this bravado and you don't fear anything. If you do this, you're going to scare people. And I was like, well, that's, thanks for the tire pump, but I don't believe that. And so then we met with the staff and I said, here's our options. I said, we can close. I can get you paid for as long as this PPP will last like a couple months. Or we can stay open. And the kids were like, stay open. Like, what are we going to do? Like, they've shut down school, so we're just going to sit at home legit all day? Like, we have to do this. So then we laid out some guidelines. I'm like, if you go out of state, you're going to be quarantined for 14 days. You can't come back. If you go to a party and you don't think I know you're at a party, you're wrong. I said, because all of you love to have followers. I said, and I have dummy accounts on every account. So all those followers you got, I'm a couple of them.
Right.
So I can just do the old tracer thing, and you got your location on. Thanks for that, bud. So I know where your house is. It was just kind of psycho, and I know that you're not at this party,
right?
Or you'll post a picture of you at a party. If it ain't the staff, you can roll staff parties, have them, because we're all in it together. And they were great. I'm forever indebted to them for what they did. But the neighborhood, then everything that I had tried to accomplish, we had tried to preach, it all worked. And we had ladies that would come in and a couple ladies started crying. They're like, we're so happy you guys are all still here and everybody's still working. It's just nice to see faces and everybody's da-da-da-da-da. And the servers are now at the counter and the counter's now helping on the fryer. So being part of, I'm a community guy. Like I'll fight to the death over Grand Island, even though they have stupid policy that they just waived about letting people into games. I'm still a Grand Island guy. But that neighborhood is us now. We're part of that neighborhood. We're happy to be part of that neighborhood. They needed a place to go because South O's got Orsi's, you know, and 120's got Big Fred's. Everybody's got their little neighborhood joint. Well, that one didn't have one. And so now we fill that. We fill that for them. And I'll forever be indebted to my staff and to the people of Omaha for that, because everybody else was kind of struggling. We did really well through it all. And the staff did great, and you know, service didn't drop off, and they were more than understanding with 2-hour wait time sometimes, which is what we got out to. But I said, hey, if you call it noon on Thursday and you say you want a pizza at 5 on Friday, we'll have it ready at 5. So that helped a lot, and it was just a great, you know, now we're slowly incorporating faces back into the dining room, and it's good to see everybody, and you know, I get out there and tell some jokes and have some laughs, which is what I like to do.
Do you feel like being a former Nebraska football player has helped with your business and help it succeed versus somebody just graduating from university and starting a pizza place, for example? It
does. I've had some buddies who've tried it, and it hasn't worked because the sole basis of the business is that. Okay, Nebraska football will always be a part of me. Up until Memorial Day, we didn't really have any Nebraska memorabilia up in Piezons because I didn't want it to just be a Nebraska place. Okay. So now what we've done is we've incorporated some of the guys into the menu. We'll have, when they start on Saturday, we have some new menu items. It's called the Playbook. And so 8 or 10 other guys now have their own pizza that they've designed on their own with the ingredients we have. I'm not bringing in crab rangoon and all that stuff. Right. I'm not smart enough to figure out how to put peanut butter on pizza. But so now I took some old, like anybody that's ever been in, we got pizza peel that you slide in the oven and get the pizza out. Well, those break. They're wood and metal, try to fuse together, and they just break. So you take the metal part and I clean them up real nice, and then I have the fellows sign them. So they all sign them. They put their funny slogans on them. You know, Matt Hoskinson, who is on the main menu, which is, probably shouldn't have done that, but he's on there. And it says, the Haas is the best pizza in Omaha, everybody. But it's fitting. And then, you know, Abdul Muhammad really loves our pastrami, so Abdul's got his on there. And so it's just fun stuff like that to kind of tie it in. I'll probably have to find some pictures of them because we're old now, and we'll throw those on there. But, you know, like Aaron Galladay came in the other day, and so I had Aaron sign one, Jay Moore, Caputo, which they're super modest guys. They're just like, what do you want me to write? I'm like, you know, played night. I'm just write something on there.
Anything. Just played. Whether
you want to be it or not, your family. And so that's what it's about, and that's what Nebraska is, and that's what we try to be at Piezons.
Yeah. Do you feel fortunate that you were in the pizza business during a pandemic versus like maybe a steakhouse or something that you're a community place, but like, do you feel fortunate that you weren't in something that's a little bit harder to get that experience at home?
Oh, so pizza's easy now, Pat.
What? Yeah.
Pizza's easy, evidently.
I'm not going to say pandemic.
Just train monkey, throw them in there and you make pizza, I guess.
It's not pandemic proof, but it was built to be mobile and be delivered and enjoyed.
I don't. I'm a grinder. And I would have found, if I'm in a steakhouse, I would have found a way. I would put together to-go packages with instructions. I said, here's your ribeye. Here's your potato, here's this, here's a kit, take it home. You're going to throw it on your own grill, grab your kids, teach them how to do it. That way you guys can do this as a family thing. Like the one thing I regret, guys, we just ran out of time. We were busy enough where I was going to put together pizza kits. You get a cooler, you get dough balls, you get sauce, you get all your toppings and ingredients, you take them home, and a screen. And you just bring your cooler back and we'll refill it for you. But I didn't even have time to price coolers. Like I was driving to Lincoln to get more, like, hey, Cisco, I got to get a wheel call here. So can you get this ready by 8 a.m.? They're like, sure. So I was probably on the interstate more than I really wanted to be. But every situation or every phase of restaurant could have adapted to it. And I really believe that. It's just it's how the ownership group works. For us, once the crew said, yeah, let's go, we were nose down and grind. And they knew from 4 to 8:30 everything they were making, because we had calls that just came in. Slot everybody and away you go. They loved it. The backroom guys loved it. They're like, can we never open the dining room again? And I was like, well, this isn't sustainable. Number one. I was like, but number two, it's going to happen. So we just got to do what we're doing right now, and then we're going to adjust. So I think every phase of operation could have done that. It's just sometimes I've always said I was lucky when I grew up. My dad was a softball player, and so I got hauled around to every small town bar. But ownership groups in those smaller communities are just about people. They just want everybody to have fun. That's all we want to have happen. So when we would go in there, the owner would be out front. They would let me shoot pool above my head on their nice pool table, thinking there's 70% chance this kid's going to scrape my felt. But they didn't come yell at me, or they didn't come around chucking darts across the room. You know, they were just like, hey, hit the board. It's right there. And so that phase of it, where it was just awesome to be in that scene, somewhere along the lines, we became super transactional in our expectation of restaurants. Like, hey, I'm going to set this in front. If you like it, I don't care. If you do like it, great. It's not the way we roll. Like, I want you to leave. You're going to come in and spend your hard-earned money at my place. I want you to be happy when you leave. And if something made you not happy, like, I always encourage people, if something has gone wrong, and direct message us on our Facebook page. Tell me. I'll make it right. Just, I need to know where the errors happen. If you don't tell me where an error happens, I can never fix it. You know, and that's hard. But thankfully, you know, we had a guy the other night, he said, you screwed up my last 2 orders and we're not coming back. I said, totally understand. It's our fault. Give me the name. I'll go back and I'll find the receipts. I'll credit them back to you. Not a big deal. No, you don't do that. Well, then he'd messaged me again and said, we're coming back in. We're doing it again. So I went back, and then I just watched it get made the whole way through. I put it in the oven. I cooked it. I brought it out. I said, this is on us. Thank you for giving us another opportunity. I said, but without you telling me this, I never would have known. Like, I never would have had that information, because if we don't get feedback, hey, everybody likes to pat themselves on the back, right? Oh my gosh, look at all these great reviews we got. I'm more focused on the ones like, where did we screw that up? I thank all the ones that say nice things, but like, how did we piss that person off that bad? Like, what did we do, and how can we never do that again? And that's kind of where I'm geared at. I'm not going to say the number, but I have my own tab on the computer system the whole time. So if we piss somebody off in the dining room or in this room, it goes on my ticket. Just slide it over there, done, over. No more debate. We're not in the piss you off business. We're in the give you a good meal business. And so they're not very frequent, but every now and then I'll look and be like, whoa, there's another $20 on there. What happened? Kid will explain it. And they know. They don't have to hem-haw around. Oh, well, this, and then the sun came in and hit me in the eye, and I dumped the pizza on the lady. It's like, no, we did this. They were upset at us about this. Okay, great. Are they still here? No. Did we get their name? Yes. Okay. Then I'll try to contact them and say, terribly sorry. If you want a gift card, we'll give you a gift card. If not, I'll just refund the whole bill. Hope you have a great night. So it's just trying to go above and beyond and making sure that you know people value the money they spend with you. Yep.
Well, and people vote with their dollars. They tell you where, and those experiences, especially from ownership, is a big deal. It goes a long way versus some form letter that was filled out and here's a coupon for your next thing. It goes a really long way.
And it's a double-edged sword, because realistically, I'm 46. I can't be there every day. I've got things that happen and things that go on, but I've got people I trust.
Yep.
And they know my expectation, and they know how to go through the procedure to get it right. And there's nothing better in the world than when I show back up, if I've coached at Scott and I come back from a game, okay, what do I need to know about? Like, well, this happened in this form. We did this for it. And then they were happy when they left. I'm like, great.
Awesome.
Handled it perfect. So
I'm super excited to go try Piezons because I've never had it before.
It's literally feet away, Chris. It's feet away.
If I wasn't talking so much.
I know.
Right? You know, it's like I've heard these stories before, but every time I hear them, I just tell the passion that you have, not just for pizza, but for just giving people a good experience in your restaurant. Well, and it's cool.
I had a little run as a financial advisor in the middle there for about 3 years, and you know, they try to psychoanalyze, like, what's your why? What's your drive? Like, I like people.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it can't be people. I'm like, well, don't ask me the effing question. Right. Take my effing answer.
Right.
Why?
I like people. And more than that, I like happy people. And I like telling stories, and I like people. I'm like, okay, well, that's, I guess. I'm like, well, later, dork. So just.
That's the next shirt. Later, dork. So what's next for Piezons? What's next for you?
For us, we're looking. So we have a matrix that we put the rent in. Any realtors listening? Okay, just help us all out. When I tell you give me the all-in number, The minute you say and, my brain is gone. I am walking out the door. So they'll say, because they'll be like, okay, well, it's $23 a square foot.
Triple net, cam.
And $4 a square foot for this, and $5. I'm like, that's not 23, that's 32. So we take that non-and number, everything all in. We put that at the top. That kicks out the price of a cheese pizza. If it's over $1 amount I don't want, then we just walk away, because everything then goes up exponentially. You know, and I'm not in the $8 Busch Light draw game. It's like, hey, here's your $9 16-ounce Bud Light.
Right.
Enjoy that.
Yep.
Right.
That one. You know, I don't want to pay $9 for beer. I'd get into it with the guys at the baseball game. I'm like $12 for an old style, like $12 for this aluminum canned old style.
Right.
Yeah, but it's so that's how we do. Part of me wants to go back into, excuse me, smaller community. Got some interest from a group in Columbus. Like I said, got an interest from some groups in North Platte. GI, of course, has a couple folks there. So looking at those, if we find the right thing in Omaha, we'll do it. But it's got to be, the numbers got to work, because it's too much. There's too much of a risk when you have too much invested in just the basics. When you have to really alter your pricing scheme and strategy and go that way to make it work in the end. Misconception of restaurants that you're taking home, you're swimming in the pool of money. You know, if we can catch 10% at the end of the year, we're feeling pretty good about it. Now, I'm not dumb enough to not understand that if we had 5, 6, 8 locations, now our pricing structure changes a lot. But right now, as we're the one that we are, I got no problem continuing to expand into our little strip mall and keep taking over bays and making it bigger there.
It's awesome.
Yep.
Well, I'm excited to try it. Pat speaks highly of it, and everybody in Omaha.
It's awesome.
If you come to Lincoln, I'll be your biggest customer, but we'll be rooting for you. We appreciate you being on the show. This is awesome.
Thanks,
Absolutely.
Verz.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Got it, buddy. Thanks. We are so excited that Husker football is back. Make sure you catch Big Red Wrap-Up, its game highlights and analysis on NET, Nebraska's PBS and NPR stations. Tuesday nights live at 7 on NET World and on Facebook, and at 10 o'clock on NET.
A Hurrdat Media Production.